One of the most simple and useful things that you can do with a direct store delivery application is take presale orders. Now, presale order taking is a process where a company representative is typically on site with the customer and is taking an order to be delivered in a future visit. So very straightforward. So with xkzero Mobile Commerce, in order to take a presale order, the first thing that we want to do is select a customer that we're working with. So I'm going to go ahead and tap on my customer icon. And I'm just going to choose the first customer on the list, which is 7-Eleven customer. And so this is the key thing to get started here. So I'm going to take my, my phone, move it a little bit more front and center here. And so in order to start a presale order, the first thing that you want to do is tap on the button in the upper right-hand corner that we call the action button. This is going to show us all of the different transaction types and some other actions that we can do with the xkzero Mobile Commerce. And I'm going to choose presale. I'm going to tap on presale. So you'll note here that I receive a message that says that I do not appear to be at the customer location. So I'm going to go ahead and tap on OK to continue. But I just want to make you aware that this is a warning that the application gives to you when you're not within a quarter mile of your desired customer location. In fact, for instance, here, I'll use this example. You know, companies who sell in 7-Elevens or convenience stores or any kind of chain stores, right? They often have multiples of them in their customer database. So it could be that by accident you've pulled up the wrong customer account, and this location service warning is going to save you the trouble of putting an order in for the wrong 7-Eleven customer, right? So this gives me a warning here for that. So it's worth noting at this point that the beginning of each transaction, xkzero Mobile Commerce not only captures the geo coordinates to be sent back to your system, but we also take a date and time stamp for each transaction too. Okay, so let's, for starters, I'm going to just add some items to this order. Let's keep it nice and simple. So, looking up here on the header, first you can see that I've got a customer number and today's date, the customer location that I'm selling into and their address to verify that. You can see that I have no quantities of items, no dollars in there. So as we add items, it's going to start to tally those things, right? In addition to that, this is a temporary transaction number that you see up here. So this is important to understand that each mobile route device, it's going to have its own sequence of transaction numbers that will stay with that order throughout the life of the system. So for instance, if I print out a copy of my order receipt here, it's going to have that order number, and that mobile order number will stay with the order for the life of it, even back in the ERP system. But meanwhile, back in the ERP system, in the sales order module, we're going to follow whatever rules for sequential numbering are set up in the ERP. So in essence, it has a dual identity throughout the system. Okay, so let's add some items to the order. And so you'll notice down below that I have 3 different hyperlinks. I've got available, I have customer items, and I have add items. So I'm going to start first at the add item hyperlink. I'm going to tap on that. And what this does for me is this is going to pull up and give me a list of all of the items in my ERP that are available and published out to me as a mobile user to allow me to choose items to select for orders on my pre-order. Another thing so I can search for those by customer, by item number, item description. This is a quick link based on the item number. For instance, if I tap on the W, it scrolls me down automatically to the W sequence of inventory item numbers. So that's adding items to orders using this add item listing, right? That's basically everything in your inventory. Next, let's look over here on the left, and I've got an option for available. What available means is that, and this is something that only if I happen to be a route sale driver or a delivery driver, that's going to show me all of the items that are currently loaded onto my truck. So if my job is strictly pre-sale orders, I won't have that option for what's available. So I wanted to show you that as well. Okay, but then next what we're going to do is we're going to look at cust items or customer items. And I'll use this as the example for the rest of adding items to this order. So when I tap on this, you'll notice that I have a couple of different options, right? One of them is to select customer items and one is to preload customer items. So what these refer to is all of the items that this customer has historically bought from me, I've got available, essentially as a catalog to choose from in order to add them onto my order. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose preload customer items. It's going to give me a prompt here. Do I want to preload all those items? And so what that's going to do is that's automatically going to populate everything that these folks have bought from me onto my order entry screen. And now I can go into here, line by line and put the specifics for each one of those items. So, essentially what this gives to us is repeating order type functionality while we're out in the field. Another thing that I want to show to you, a couple of things here. One is this truck quantity here. This is what's currently available for each one of these products on my truck. Again, this is only pertinent and only relevant if I also happen to be a route sale or a delivery driver. If I'm a pre-sale driver, I will not see truck quantities in there, right? The other thing that you'll see here is the list price for the product. This is a permission-based display of this, right? So we have some clients who are pre-sale reps who only go and pull up the item, enter in the quantity, and move on, right? So what we're seeing here is a pre-sale rep who has permission to be able to see those prices. So I'm going to tap on that first item. Now I can see the item number, the item description. I can see the unit of measure is a case that's grayed out. So if I try to tap on that, nothing's happening. If I do have permission to break a case, then I can choose an alternate unit of measure to be able to sell based on, and my prices will adjust according to that. So, also I believe on this, I have my pricing grayed out, so I don't have permission to override pricing here. If I did, I would be able to adjust the price, but just to let it be known that xkzero Mobile Commerce follows all of your pricing rules, including your promotional rules by customer, by item that you've got set up on the back end in your ERP system. Okay, so also as I scroll down here, you can see that it's displaying for me my recent sales history to that customer for this item. So I'm able to see, that on June 19th, this customer bought 2 of this product at $25. June 17th, they bought 2. May 24th, they bought 3. May 23rd, they bought 3, and so on. So, for a customer who says, just give me the quantity that I bought last time, I know that that's 2, and I can go ahead and put that information in. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and tap on done, and I'll add that to my order just like that. So now you can see it's highlighted in green that I have quantities for that product on my order. It's tallying my total number of units and my total number of dollars for that sale. So, the next item I can go in, again, I can browse to my history. Let's say I'm going to order 6 of those this time, and I go ahead and enter done. Again, my order is kind of tallying up. And so I can go on, and add further to that. These items, additional add item, if I have an additional item that's not currently on that listing, I can go ahead, add that item straight from that add item hyperlink. And you'll see here that's added that additional item down below. That's one that they had never purchased from me previously. So let's say now that I'm done with my order, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my action button for my next step. So when I tap on the action button, you'll see that I have a number of different choices. All right, the first thing I'm going to tap on here is summary. And you can see when I do summary, what this does now, if I want to show on the device what it is that my customer has selected for their order, right? The summary view will do that. And I can go back, tap on the action button again. Now that option has been turned to detail, right? So now it's back in the detail view as I had done before, and I could add those additional items, onto the order. I'm going to go back here to summary again. Okay, now I'm going to go back and I'm going to tap on the action button again and talk about a couple other options here. So transaction notes, we do have header comments that we can add to the order, but we also can add a very, I better change to English, this is not going to be grammatic, I'll let them go home. How about that? So anyway, I can put a long comment into my header using those transaction notes. I'll go back to my action button again. And another option that I have is a receipt. So from the field, I can choose to either email a receipt or print the receipt. You'll see in a preview here that when I go to print the receipt, that it pre-populates with an email that I've got assigned as a default for that customer. And then you would have a receipt that's going to have your logo. It can be designed any way that you need for it to be. So, this could be emailed directly from the field. The other thing, again, back to the action button on receipt, I could go ahead, I can use AirPrint for any Apple AirPrint enabled printer, or I can use a Bluetooth printer as well. We have certain Bluetooth printers that we support. I'll go back to the action button again, okay? And I'm gonna choose commit. So again, the action button is really important in xkzero Mobile Commerce. It's the only button that you need to remember when you're looking for what's the next step that I need to take. And that action button, the options are always going to be changing as your steps in the selling process change. The options for you via that action button will be changed accordingly. It makes it really nice and easy and intuitive for you as a user. So in this case, I'm done with the order. I'm going to go ahead and tap on commit. Okay, and when I commit the order, right, and say okay to that, I have an option that's set up here that asks me if I want to go ahead and sync this pre-sale order, right? So what's going to happen now is when I go ahead and say yes to this, is it's going to take that order, it's going to send it back into my sales order module on the back end. And if you've got it set up this way on the back end, you can actually have your warehouse, your routing personnel alerted that there's a new order, for this customer on the route that's been sent in, right? So that's automatically going to be back in your system, ready for picking, route planning, staging, whatever the case might be, in your workflow, right? That's back there automatically. Another thing about that synchronization is if I would have chosen no at that time, all it would have done is put that into my shopping cart, and then I can update, do a synchronization in batch or one at a time at any later time whatever suits my needs as a business. Okay, so I went ahead, I synchronized that. It's gone ahead back to my customer record. But before I finish out for this video, I'm going to tap back on my action button, and I want to review just a couple other things related to a presale order. So again, I'm going to choose presale. Again, it does my location check for me. So remember when we first started our order that I had I've got this header record that shows me certain information, including the transaction number. If I tap on that header, I can put additional information in related to this order. So for one, I can go ahead, I could change that email address that I'm going to use for emailing the transaction for the presale if I choose to do that. I could enter comments. This would go in as a sales order header comment in addition to the extended memo type comment that you saw in the transaction note. I could enter in an approved by, and I believe this is coming from a user definable field. So I could enter in the name of an approved by person for that order. Display location. Again, some of these fields that are out here are fields that you will choose to include or not include when we implement xkzero mobile commerce. So in this case here, I could enter in a display location, for the shelf for where it's going to go when that product gets delivered. And then also I could enter in a purchase order number if the customer gives me a purchase order number. In fact, if we require a purchase order for that particular customer, it won't let me commit the order until I'll receive that PO number. And then the last thing that I'll talk about for today is this credits to be picked up. What you're actually able to do with that, when you say credits to be picked up, what that's going to do is it's going to send a credit memo type sales order back into your system to inform the route or logistics personnel that the next time a delivery person or an inventory related person goes out, that there's a return that needs to be picked up. Okay, and we'll probably do a later training video just on that process. All right, so I'm going to cancel out of this, not do anything additional, with this order right now. It just gives me a message, that I've deleted that order and so on. So that's everything that I have planned on covering for today. Hopefully that answers all, if not most, of your questions about entering a presale order. But of course, you can always reach out to us at info@xkzero.com with any questions. Thank you so much for your time today.